This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
The history of the Uruguayans in the 19th century is filled first with fierce battles for their independence against Argentina and Brazil, and then with equally savage civil skirmishes between the Blanco and Colorado parties, the conservatives from the interior and the liberals from Montevideo. In 1904, the last Blanco uprising was defeated by the Colorado president, José Batlle y Ordóñez, who then established a secular and democratic state, which for many decades was regarded as the most advanced and enlightened in South America. The economy of this welfare state depended upon the pastoral and agricultural products which Uruguay exported to Europe, and while world prices for wool, beef and hide remained high, Uruguay remained prosperous. But in the course of the 1950s, the value of these commodities went down and Uruguay went into a decline. There was unemployment and inflation, which in turn gave rise to social discontent. The civil service was overstaffed and underpaid. Lawyers, architects, and engineers, once the aristocracy of the nation, found themselves with little work and were paid too little for what there was. Many were compelled to choose secondary professions. Only those who owned land in the interior could be sure of their prosperity. The rest worked for what they could get in an atmosphere of economic stagnation and administrative corruption. As a result, there arose the first and most notable movement of urban guerrilla revolutionaries, the Tupamaros, whose ambition was to bring down the oligarchy which governed Uruguay through the Blanco and Colorado parties. For a while things went their way. They kidnapped and ransomed officials and diplomats and infiltrated the police force, which was set against them. The government called upon the army, which ruthlessly uprooted these urban guerrillas from their middle-class homes. The movement was suppressed. The Tupamaros were locked away. In the early 1950s, a group of Catholic parents, alarmed at the atheistic tendencies of the teachers in the state schools, and dissatisfied with the teaching of English by the Jesuits, invited the Irish province of the Christian Brothers to start a school in Montevideo. This invitation was accepted, and 5 Irish lay brothers came out from Ireland by way of Buenos Aires to found the Stella Maris College, a school for boys between the ages of 9 and 16 in the suburb of Carrasco. In May 1955, classes were started in a house on the Rambla, which looked out under vast skies over the South Atlantic. Though they spoke only halting Spanish, these Irish brothers were well suited to the task they now sought to perform. Uruguay might be far from Ireland, but it too was a small country with an agricultural economy. The Uruguayans ate beef as the Irish ate potatoes, and life here, like life in Ireland, was led at a gentle pace. Nor was the structure of that part of Uruguayan society to which they catered unfamiliar to the brothers. The families who lived in the pleasant modern houses built amid the pine trees of Carrasco, the most desirable suburb of Montevideo, were mostly large, and there were strong bonds between parents and children which persisted through adolescence into maturity. The affection and respect which the boys felt for their parents was readily transferred to their teachers. This proved enough to maintain good behavior, and, at the request of the parents of the pupils, the Christian Brothers gave up their long-standing use of the disciplinary cane. It was also customary in Uruguay for young men and women to live with their parents even after they had left school, and it was not until they got married that they left home. The Christian Brothers often asked themselves how it was that, in a world where acrimony between generations sometimes seemed to be the spirit of the age, the citizens of Uruguay, or at least the residents of Carrasco, should be spared this conflict. It was as if the torrid vastness of Brazil to the north, and the muddy waters of the River Plate to the south and west, acted not only as natural barriers, but as a protective shell in a cocoon of time. Not even the Tupamaros troubled the Stella Maris College. The pupils, who came from Catholic families with conservative inclinations, had been sent by their parents to the Christian Brothers because of this order's traditional methods and old-fashioned objectives.